Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay? Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Please take your seats. We're going to go ahead and get started. I know you are eager to hear from the candidates, and the sooner we get everybody settled down and seated, the sooner we can get going tonight. All right. Well, welcome everybody. I'm Paul Jewell. I'll be the moderator this evening, and on behalf of Amy McGuffin, CEO of the Kittitas County Chamber, we'd like to welcome you to Candidates Forum for your primary races here for the Ellensburg City Council. We'd like to thank our host, the Clymer Museum and Gallery, and our partners, the League of Women Voters, who are also here assisting with tonight's Candidates Forum. I'm supposed to introduce the moderator right now, and that's myself. It's good to see you all here on a Thursday evening. Appreciate you coming out to hear these candidates. It's a really important opportunity for folks who are running for local office to get their voices heard and for you to ask questions of folks that are going to represent you for the next 4 years here at the Ellensburg City Council. We are going to have a basic format tonight where we've got some questions that have already been furnished to the candidates. You'll notice we have 3 candidates in front of us. They're all running for the same position, but we have 3 positions that are up for election. So we're going to be taking them one at a time as far as positions this evening, okay? So we're going to hear from one group of candidates. We'll finish with that group, then we'll hear from the second group of candidates, and then we'll hear from the third group of candidates. I'm going to give this candidate group an opportunity to introduce themselves to you in just a moment, but I want to go over a couple of formatting issues and some ground rules for this evening. First of all, it's warm in here, isn't it? It's lovely to be here on a July evening when it's so warm in here. But I can tell you that as a previous candidate myself, it's a lot warmer for these guys. So if any of you have any fans out there that you want to just kind of wave at them as time goes by, I'm sure they'd appreciate it. We are accepting questions from the audience this evening, and I believe there is a table back there where you can submit those questions. We're not allowing the audience to ask questions directly, but if you want to write them down, they do have some cards for you. You can turn those in, and we'll get to those if we get a chance. I want to go over just some basic ground rules. Our format tonight is just very simple. It'll be a moderator, that's myself, asking questions of the candidates. As I mentioned, the candidates have received the questions, the first set of questions in advance. They'll all answer the same question. We will rotate, so we'll start on one end of the table, then we'll go to the next, then we'll go to the next, so each person has the opportunity to answer first, second, and last. Candidates will have 60 seconds to answer the questions. We do have a timer. Amy McGuffin right in front of you will give you the giant hook at some point with a big sign that says stop. And we do have some bouncers outside. If it gets really crazy, we'll bring them in just to make sure that you guys, something. I'm not sure what it is, but we've got something planned for you. So it's not a surprise that you want, so please stick to the time formats. It really is important that you do those so that everybody gets an equal chance and opportunity to answer the questions, and so we can get through as many questions as possible. Let's see, other things to know. As far as titles go, just for equity's sake, just for not to give any candidate an advantage over another, I will address each of you by Mr. or Mrs. if that's okay. Mr. or Miss, excuse me, if that's okay. Questioning format is pretty basic. I think we went over that. The program length tonight will be 90 to 120 minutes, depending on how long it takes. So I hope those chairs are comfortable, because 90 to 120 minutes can get pretty long in a warm environment like this. Let's see. Please, we do ask the candidates to adhere to the subject matter that's being asked. So if you could please make sure that you do directly answer the questions that are being asked. We ask the candidates not interrupt each other. There will be no opportunity for rebuttals this evening. We do ask the candidates refrain from leveling any accusations, charges, or attacks of a personal nature on any group, either present or not present, or fellow candidates. We do ask the candidates also that they refrain from any disruptive behavior, and that goes for the audience too, right? It's much more appropriate if the audience is non-reactive. You don't necessarily have to be stoic. You can smile, right? But if we could keep the reactions to a minimum and any disruptive behavior, that shows a greater respect to the candidates themselves. As far as rule enforcement goes, that's me, I guess. I'm in charge of enforcing the rules, and I'll try to do it as fairly as possible. Any questions as far as any of that goes? from the candidates themselves. Okay. As far as chair layout today, it was completely random. It was drawn by random lots. So John, we didn't put you in the middle for any particular reason. Miss O'Mahony, excuse me. We didn't put you on this side for any reason, other than the fact that I like to be closer to you. So it's good to see you this evening. All right. Anything other than that? If anybody has brought any props or visuals with you this evening, like signs or maybe big foam fingers or kazoos, we ask that you leave those in the car or in your back pocket and not display them, okay? Let's go ahead and get started. Let's kick this thing off. We'll start with candidate introductions. Your actual introduction is your opening question. What we ask you to do is introduce yourself, share why you're running, and what you hope to accomplish in your first year if elected.
Good evening. My name is Geraldine O'Mahony. I'm a long-time resident of Ellensburg. I'm a member of the Planning Commission and I'm a former professor at Central Washington University. I live here with my wife and our 2 young children, and like many families, we're building a life rooted in this community. It's schools, parks, and small town spirit. For over 15 years, I've worked locally and globally to strengthen democracy and human rights, from advising governments to observing elections to teaching the next generation of civic leaders. But I'm running for City Council because the most meaningful work happens right here, where we invest in housing, sustainability, and services that help our neighbours thrive. I'm also active in Ellensburg's art and non-profit communities and understand firsthand the challenges families, working parents, and small businesses are facing. I bring a collaborative, data-driven, and inclusive approach to every role I take. I'm running to represent all of Ellensburg with transparency, courage, and a deep commitment to justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sinclair, you're next.
Thank you. My name is John Sinclair, and I grew up here in Ellensburg. I attended Ellensburg High School. The current City Hall was my elementary school back then, Washington Elementary. I went to Central, went through the Dorothy Purser paramedic program, and I started out my professional career here working for the Ellensburg Fire Department. Many of you in the room know me for the last 20 years as the former fire chief. I retired at the end of December. And the reason that I'm running is I have a 7-year-old grandson. And over the last couple of years, I've had the opportunity to spend quite a bit of time with him at the Ellensburg parks. I've been to the city pool with him, and compared to when I was a kid in this town, I'm sort of appalled at the degradation of our schools, our parks, and I'm running to enhance the experience for the people of the city of Ellensburg, focusing in on the children. I think that we need to invest money in our kids, and I think that we need to invest money into our parks, our pool, and our infrastructure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Lowquist.
So I do get asked why I'm running again, and it's because I do care deeply about this community. This is my home. We raised 2 sons here, and my husband and I started a business here. And after 24 years of this, I am still curious, I am still learning, and it is an inspiring job. There's always new challenges and more to do. Our current challenges include aging facilities, expensive housing, managing the energy transition, and rising gang violence. But in spite of those challenges, I think Ellensburg's a great place to live. We've maintained our small town character. Our city government is well run, and we have a thriving downtown. And I want to take some credit for that. I am a middle child, so I'm a consensus builder. I am here to represent all residents, and I have always tried to do that. And finding common ground is a theme. I am not a show up to vote kind of council member. I'm actively engaged in building policy and collaborating to get things done to serve you. I'm asking you for your vote to allow me to continue to address our challenges and build on our strengths to serve you.
All right, thank you for that. Thank you for those introductions, candidates. And nice job on timing. Excellent work on that. Okay, we're going to start with the first question. We're going to move now. We're going to rotate. Mr. Sinclair, this will be your opportunity to answer first. Then we'll go to Ms. Lilquist and Ms. Almahani. Oh. I hate to, I'm blowing it, aren't I? Omahani. Okay, I'm going to keep trying. All right, I hope I'm not offending you because I'm not intending to. All right, Mr. Sinclair, this question goes to you first. I think we've all seen a lot of political shows on TV. We've certainly seen a lot of movies and how glamorous it is to be a member of the elected class and an elected official, both at every level of government, but certainly very, very exciting at the city council level. What do you see as the top 3 roles of a city council member?
Well, obviously, the thing that is the most important is to provide city services within the budget provided. And I think that especially with the growing list of needs that we have in a growing community, what we've got to do is spend more time in prioritizing. I think that it is very important for us to prioritize our future generations. And I also believe that the city council has one employee, and that is the city manager. So all of the city's employees work for the city manager, and so we may have to make sure that there's a good strategic plan, that there is consistency and fiscal conservancy relative to the budget, and to make sure that the things that are needed in our community get done through the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Sinclair. Ms. Lilquist, the same question.
Okay. So first, as a team, the city council guides the staff work plans and the budget. Ideally, the work plans and the budget will implement the long-term vision that's expressed by the community through the comprehensive plan. Second, we enact local laws and policies. We are your legislative body. So new laws should also be consistent with the comp plan, but sometimes they're just in response to current needs. So sometimes I do outside research, looking at what other communities have done, what are considered best practices, and I try to think about how the new law would impact different interests in the community. And third, we hire and supervise the city manager, like John said. And those of you who have worked with Heidi Berenson know that we are very fortunate to have her. She has helped the council define our goals. She's strategic, she's collaborative, and she has the trust of her staff.
Thank you, Ms. Lilquist. Ms. O'Mahony.
Very good. I think a city council member should be a bridge, a builder, and a beacon. As a bridge, I connect residents, whether long-term locals or CWU students, to the policies that shape and inform their daily lives. That means ensuring accessible communication and listening deeply to community concerns like improving transit or housing codes. As a builder, I advocate for climate-smart infrastructure, affordable housing, and equitable investment in neighbourhoods that have been historically underserved. And as a beacon, I lead with integrity and purpose, guided by progressive values and a belief that justice means ensuring all voices are heard, not just the loudest or most powerful. It means budgeting for human needs, not just balancing numbers. That's the kind of leadership I want to bring to the council.
Thank you. Okay, quickly moving through, we'll go to our second, well, really our third question after the opening. Ms. Lilquist, this will be your opportunity to answer first. Ms. O'Mahony, you'll be second. Mr. Sinclair, third. If elected, as we all know, Ellensburg is a diverse community. We have people of all ages, very young to much wiser with a lot more experience. We have college students here. We have people from all over the world who choose to make Ellensburg their home. If elected, how do you plan to listen to and represent all of your constituents and their needs?
So For every decision, I remember that I'm a public servant. It's not about me or a special interest group or the noisiest people in the room or even my supporters. It's about the overall health of the community and including current and future residents. At council meetings and open houses and other forums and even in informal conversations wherever I am, I listen to learn what matters to people. I see people who don't get what they want from the council feel like we're not listening, and it's not true. We can't please everyone. That's the first thing you learn as a council member. It's our job to balance community needs, not to serve a particular subset.
Thank you. Ms. O'Mahony?
I think representation starts with being present. As a planning commissioner, I've worked to bring all voices, including those too often left out, into city decisions. If elected, I'll hold regular neighbourhood forums, meet with CW student groups and senior centres, and partner with non-profits, veterans organisations and faith communities, and others to reach people where they are, especially those facing housing insecurity, disability barriers, or economic stress. I've spent my life listening to people across cultures, continents, and conflict zones. Real change begins with humility, it requires transparency, and demands that we treat listening as an act of service, not as a checkbox.
Thank you. Mr. Sinclair?
Yes. One of my guiding principles is seek first to understand, then be understood. And I think that it is very important to have a process by which you're listening to the needs of the community. With social media, with the ability to have email, I think that each of us probably feels over-communicated with at times. But I've also got a very rich background of friends and neighbors that I've had since childhood here that share with me what their thoughts are, what their needs are, and they feel like their thoughts and the things that are important to them are not being listened to. And so what I will do is spend a lot of time listening, to say it in the way my dad did, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them appropriately. So I think that it's very important to first listen, then make decisions.
Thank you. And this is our final prepared question. I'm hoping there's maybe a few in the back from the audience that you can bring forward in just a couple of minutes. But before that happens, I believe we're starting back at the beginning with you, Ms. O'Mahony. This will be your opportunity to answer first again. So whenever anybody thinks about running for city council or any other elected office, we always develop a platform based on policies. And usually that is focused on what we think are the biggest issues or the biggest needs for the state, for the community, for this, in this particular case, for the city of Ellensburg. What do you think, what in your view are the biggest issues or the greatest needs facing Ellensburg today? And how would you work towards filling that need or addressing that issue?
So I think Ellensburg's biggest challenges: housing affordability, climate resilience, and economic equity. And I think they're all deeply interconnected. I'll advocate for zoning and development policies that expand affordable housing while protecting renters and working families. I'll push for public transport, green infrastructure, and smart, climate-ready planning that serves everyone. I'll also support our locally owned businesses by reducing barriers to start-up and expansion, ensuring fair permitting, and investing in vibrant commercial corridors. And I'll work to understand and address the added challenges faced by business owners from underrepresented communities, including immigrants, women, and the LGBTQ+ residents. Ellensburg deserves a future where growth is shared, opportunity is inclusive, and no one is left behind.
Thank you. Mr. Sinclair.
So because of our geography, one of our biggest issues is that of growth. And we have all experienced this with a significant amount of residential growth, but we need to have accompanying consumer retail growth, and we need to have growth of the business community. We need to have living wage jobs in this community. I also don't think that we are focusing near enough on our future, which is the youth of our community. I will also say that my platform has to deal with small d democracy, making sure that every voice is heard, transparency in the government, and making sure that we don't have systems in place that confuse the public. And I also think that we need to manage the budget, because there is no more free money coming from the federal government or the state any longer.
Thank you. Thank you. And Ms. Lilquist, the final candidate for this question.
Our first challenge is maintaining our record of responsible government. We do need to make the right choices about spending and revenues. Inflation is putting pressure on our budget, and the state limits how cities can raise funds. We need to think carefully and creatively about how we fund what we want, and the wants are a lot. And we should partner with folks and maybe look at creating special districts to raise funding. The second issue is maintaining our small town character as we grow, because we will. We do that through good land use planning policies. We should be creating neighborhoods within reach of commercial services, but that avoid strip developments. We need to plan our transportation system to avoid congestion, and partly by providing alternatives to driving. And there's lots more challenges, and I hope they show up in questions.
Thank you. Well, that completes our pre-planned section today. It is only 5:22, so I think we have some time available for audience questions. I'm hoping someone from the back might be bringing those up as we speak. Is there a secret envelope?
Yes. Maybe it has additional questions.
We can collect those on the way. Excellent. I'll be vetting them, I guess. You have a little bit. Excellent. Okay, perfect. All right. Okay, so this first question is one that I was actually thinking of. So I'm glad that folks, it seems like some of us in the room are on the same wavelength. Housing. I don't think we could probably get through a candidates forum for city council without talking about housing. By the way, Mr. Sinclair, this is your opportunity to go first. Then we'll go to Ms. Lilquist, and then over here to this end of the table. Well, this is fun. All right. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Sounds good. Housing is a major issue across the nation. Certainly not just in Washington State, and not just in Ellensburg, but Ellensburg, of course, is not immune to the issue. It's affecting everyone nationwide. Families, large and small, young and old, of all walks of life and all income levels. What are the top 3 steps that you think can be taken to increase affordable housing right here in Ellensburg?
That's going to be a challenge due to our geography and due to what has happened post-COVID. Post-COVID, what has happened is that people have figured out that telework works, and people in major urban areas, where those major urban areas have become very toxic, are not liking it, and so they're moving to small towns. And they're moving to small towns all across the United States. And it is affecting affordable housing in small communities. As you look at this issue, what I'm looking at from a perspective of, obviously we've got multiple family dwellings and apartments, but it is important, I think, for us to look at some measure of subsidized housing, some measure of helping first-time home buyers, but I would say that it's a generational problem that we're going to have for a little while, and working together is the only way that we solve it.
Thank you. Ms. Lilquist, same question.
Yeah, I agree that this is a regional or nationwide problem, and I think it has to do with the cost of materials and cost of labor and lending, and those are things we really can't control. So what we need to be doing to focus on attainable or market rate housing is continuing to review our codes to remove the barriers to what they call missing middle housing. And that's smaller homes on smaller lots, and maybe more creative ownership types. For the affordable or the income restricted housing, we do need to have partnerships, and we can leverage our local sales tax funds that the voters gave us to get state and federal money to do these projects. We have built 55 of those in the last few years, and we have 120 more in development right now. And then I just want to say, so there's a new law that the comp plan requires us to say how we'll meet.
Oh,
You cut me off?
Sounds like we cut you off. Sorry about that, Ms. Lopez. I didn't do that. It was some other mystery person in the back who will remain nameless. But if you go beyond your 60 seconds, boom, there is no tolerance. Zero tolerance here at the Climber. All right, Ms. O'Mahony, please, same question.
You're going perfect at that, by the end.
I am trying really hard.
So I've been on the planning commission for the last 7 years, and I've seen obviously the impact that the housing crisis is having here in Ellensburg as well as throughout the state. The three things I would like to see us do is move to an inclusive zoning model, which the planning commission has recently been discussing with the Affordable Housing Commission. That would involve both mandatory and incentive-based provisions for developers to include affordable housing within any new developments. I think changing density levels for different property developments and types is one way to attract developers to build in areas where there's already housing but are near infrastructure and services. And lastly, expanding and encouraging the development of ADUs, additional dwelling units. It's very difficult, or can be rather confusing, to try and develop an ADU if you have to go through the permitting process. So I think we should expand that.
Thank you. I feel like we could talk about housing all day. I don't know about you guys, but those answers just gave me about 25 more questions that I wanted to ask. But we're not going to. We're going to move on. All right, Ms. Lopez, this is your opportunity to go first. Then we'll come back over here to this side of the table and then back to the middle. In moments of controversy or public disagreement, which are very rare in politics, I mean, let's be honest with you, that doesn't happen very often. Everyone gets along on social media, and here in Ellensburg, it's such a strange thing. I feel embarrassed to ask this question, but we're going to ask it anyways. In moments of controversy or public disagreement, how would you maintain trust with the community while grounding your decision in evidence and facts?
Okay. Well, it goes back to listening and to keeping an open mind and to showing that I am truly hearing people. How to maintain
Trust, community trust. Trust with your community while grounding your decision in evidence and facts.
I think we have to bring people along with the evidence and facts, and I know that sometimes, I think part of our problem is people don't trust what is evidence anymore. We don't have a common place to go to get facts, and so we all think our facts are the facts and their facts aren't. And so I think we just keep having to keep working through reinforcing that what are the facts and why those are the facts, and that we're not pulling from some national partisan base.
Thank you. Ms. O'Mahony.
So I think moments of controversy or public disagreement are inevitable, but I also agree that it's something that has risen up an awful lot more over the last few years. I think that how we can build trust and show that we're making decisions with evidence is through transparency. Is through making it very clear how it is we are coming to these decisions, what evidence we're using, where we are drawing that evidence from. And that involves listening to the community, to all parts of the community, but it also involves listening to experts and using their knowledge as and when appropriate. I think in terms of showing trust, you show trust by demonstrating that you have clear values and principles that guide your decisions, and that those values and principles are informed by the evidence in front of you. So the evidence isn't necessarily going to change the person I am or the politician that I will be or the council member, but you do know that I will be guided by my beliefs and my principles.
Thank you. Mr. Sinclair.
So I think that it's important for everybody to understand that part of democracy and the whole thought of the founding fathers was that we would have the public square. And if you really study history, there's very few times in history when we haven't had political conflict. People come from different ideologies. What I think we as a community need to do is figure out what are our priorities. What are our priorities as a community? Where do we want this community to go? And I believe that so long as we are advocating in good faith for what we believe is the most important things, the priorities of our community, then trust will follow. As the fire chief for the past 20 years, I got the opportunity to talk to a lot of people having the worst day of their life. And I also believe that our job is to listen to the community.
Thank you. You guys are doing such a great job adhering to the time frames that we've got time for even more questions.
Hey.
So, Ms. O'Mahony, you get the opportunity to go first again. And then we'll go to Mr. Sinclair and Ms. Lilquist. I think a lot of people choose to live in this area, whether they're born here and stay here as generational families or relocate here from somewhere else, because of the quality of life that this region and certainly the city of Ellensburg and Kittitas County provide. How will you maintain our quality of life knowing that things, federal and state funding that we've enjoyed for the last several years are really kind of drying up, right? The federal government is making a lot of changes around how they're spending their money and the revenues that they're sending down to local governments. And we're hearing a lot from the state about their financial problems. Knowing all that, what actions will you take without those resources to maintain our quality of life right here in Ellensburg?
I agree with what you're saying in terms of people choose to live here because of the quality of life. I think that something we need to be cognizant of is that means something different to all of us. And it gets defined by the community as we continue to grow. It's not based on some kind of outdated idea of what Ellensburg used to be like 60, 70 years ago that we're trying to hold on to. It gets changed and evolved with every new person who moves here, who has a right to define it. In terms of how we maintain that, given the federal and state pressures, I think one thing to bear in mind is the money that comes from the federal government and the state is not free money. It is money which we all pay into our taxes. It is an entitlement, not a favor that we're being given, and we have a responsibility to demand and call for those funds to be continued to be invested. And we get to make decisions on a local level about what our priorities are and where we want to put our funding. So that's what I commit to.
Thank you. Mr. Sinclair.
I agree 100%. I think that we need to first and foremost prioritize those things that are most important. And I think that our budgets are going to continue to get tighter and tighter. I also think that we need to understand that the community itself, you take a look at Central. Central is down a significant amount of students. You take a look at the ranching and farming community. Last year was a tough year for them. This year is going to be a tough year for them. I think that going out and increasing taxes in a community that is already feeling economic stress is not going to work. I think the expectation is that we sort of cinch up our belt, to use a metaphor, and make sure that we live within our means. I believe that that will bring trust back to the taxpayers if we look at spending within our means And maybe we don't do everything that we would like to do, but we do the things that are most important.
Thank you. Ms. Lilquist.
Yeah, I think I agree. We are going to need to prioritize, and there's a couple efforts that will be going on in the next year that we're really asking the community to help us prioritize. Our Parks and Rec and open space planning effort, there will have significant public involvement in that. And as well as our comprehensive plan update effort. There's going to be lots of chances to have your voice heard. I also think expanding our tax base through economic development kinds of activities, our retail and industrial properties can increase our property tax and also our sales tax. And I also, we have been very lucky that the community has supported, voted on sales tax recently, and
Your time is up. It's always a little fun, isn't it? All right. We're going to move on to the next question. We still have some time. Mr. Sinclair, this is your opportunity to answer first. Then we'll go to you, Ms. Lilquist, and then back over here to this side of the table. The Parks and Recreation element of the comprehensive plan was just mentioned. And I think actually you mentioned parks as well in your opening statement, Mr. Sinclair. What do you see as the priorities for the Parks and Recreation Department in the city of Ellensburg?
I wish my 7-year-old grandson was here because he could tell you. The first thing that we need to do is we have a community investment in Memorial Pool. We've had a leak in the roof for over 8 years and it hasn't been repaired. And it has never been explained to me fully why we have not repaired that, and it is only getting worse. You can stand off a block away and take a look at the roof. The other issue is that we have not really upgraded our park pool toys, our park play structures in quite some time. We spend a lot of money on consultants, and I would suggest that we get a group of children and parents together to take a look at different structures in our parks. We also have Central up here with the Parks and Rec department, or they have students there, and we could potentially get some free consulting out of there.
Thank you. Ms. Lilquist.
Yeah, so I think the pool has become a priority. Yeah, only recently have I heard from the public about it. It has been maintained fairly recently. We put new HVAC, jacuzzis, and a new roof on. The average life expectancy of a municipal pool is about 30 years. Ours has lasted 46, so we have maintained it. But it's like an old car, and at what point do you keep putting money in versus buying new? And I think that we're kind of at that point that we have to make that decision, but it's very expensive. Regarding play equipment, we don't maybe have the modern features that people want, but it is in good shape and it is safe. We have budgeted for a new West Ellensburg playground this year, and the Parks Commission will be considering reallocating some park funding for what do we want, a splash pad or different play equipment.
Thank you. Ms. O'Mahony.
So with regard to Parks and Rec, I think first we need to recognise or acknowledge that, as a consultant recently pointed out, our parks are actually very well maintained given the budget that we have. The city, Nancy obviously included, have done a very good job within the budget constraints that they've had. I think we should continue to maintain our parks, but also recognise that they are multifunctional and they are for all members of the community. I have 2 small children and I would love to see more play structures. They would love to see more play structures. I'd love to see a splash pad. But I also recognise that there are other groups within the community that want to use parks and should be able to. And we need to invest in making sure that our parks and recreational facilities are welcoming and open to everybody, that everybody feels welcome going to the park. The Parks and Rec Department have also made it clear that graffiti abatement is a major time and resource issue for them. So I think working proactively on graffiti abatement.
Thank you. Okay, I can't believe pickleball was not said. That was the one thing I was looking for. Who else was looking for that? Pickleball, right? I can tell this audience is a pickleball audience. Okay, we have a lot of really great questions here. Unfortunately, we're running short on time. And I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to give your closing statements. So we're going to go ahead and transition to that. Ms. Lilquist, you'll be first. Then we'll come over here to Ms. O'Mahony, and then Mr. Sinclair, you'll give the final closing statement. So with that, I believe we're allowing 90 seconds for closing statements according to the rules. 60 seconds for closing statements. I've been corrected. 60 seconds for closing statements. Ms. Lilquist, please.
So Ellensburg is a great place to live, and that is not by accident. It's the result of good decision-making made by multiple different city councils that I have been a part of. We have strong fiscal policies. We've been committed to planning for future infrastructure improvements. We have encouraged public participation and been transparent. And again, I will never make everyone happy all the time, but I can seek common ground, and ultimately I just need to vote. In uncertain times, I hope people will vote for stability. I understand the process, procedures, the legal background on a lot of these issues. I have a network of people I've worked with over the years, and I'm asking you for the honor of representing you for another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. O'Mahony.
So Ellensburg is a community with deep roots and growing needs. We need thoughtful, experienced leaders who know how to build consensus, manage complexity, and center people in every decision. I've dedicated my life to public service, locally and globally, and I'm ready to serve you with transparency, energy, and integrity. I ask for your support in this election, and I welcome your ideas, questions, and partnership. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sinclair.
Yes. What we need is very strong leadership, and I think that it is important in a growing community that you have an eye towards the future, but we also have to respect and honor our traditions and our past. Having grown up here, I think I have a very good understanding of the needs of this community. As I said, I've got a lot of people that tell me the things that they would like to see, and there's a growing amount of people that are not happy with many of the decisions having been made, and we need to give that group of people a voice. I would like to be that voice. I am asking for your vote and asking for your support. Thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking these candidates. Okay, so we got about 2 minutes to transition to the next candidate group. So we're going to give you 2 minutes, and 2 minutes only, to stand up and stretch a little bit, make yourself comfortable. We are going to get started right back at 5:45, so please don't go far. Thank you, everybody. Okay, if you want to go ahead and find your seats, get settled in, we're going to get started again. We want to make sure that we keep things on time this evening for you and for the candidates, and maximize the opportunity for you to hear from the candidates. Well, welcome back, everybody. That was a great commercial break. I hope you certainly spent some money with our sponsors, none of which we have, but it's good to see you back. Appreciate you coming back so quickly. Candidates, do you need the rules explained again, or are you guys clear? Good? Okay. One thing that I did make a mistake on with the first group is 90 seconds for the opening statement, 60 seconds for the closing statement. That's what we actually adhered to, but I believe I said it opposite. So our trusty timer took care of that and corrected me. So I wanted to make sure that you knew that. All right. We'll go ahead and just jump right in. We'll start with the opening question, which of course is the opportunity to introduce yourself. Candidates will have 90 seconds. We'll start with Ms. Goodloe first, and then Ms. Smith. I was going to say West. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Question is, please introduce yourself, share why you're running, and what you hope to accomplish in your first year if elected.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you for being here this afternoon. I appreciate the opportunity to share some thoughts with you. My name is Nancy Goodloe. I've lived in this community for 25 years. I've been very involved with affordable housing issues and other issues of the community. I was asked to run for city council 8 years ago, and I've spent the last 8 years on the council. And during that time, I have appreciated and watched the city grow. I would like to echo the comments of Councilmember Lilquist about our city manager. Probably one of the best decisions and most important decisions I ever participated in was hiring Heidi Barron-Cernaway. She has helped us ground ourselves in a vision and our pillars of work that set our priorities for the community, and I feel really good about the direction that we're going. I want to run again because I'm ready to continue to serve. It's an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this community, and I'd like to serve you again for another 4-year term. I believe there's a lot of work yet to do and a lot of things I would like to accomplish. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goodloe. Ms. Smith.
Hello, I'm Erin Smith. I was born and raised here. I met my husband in high school. For the last 5 years, I worked for the school district, and I was in child nutrition. I worked for every school in the county, including Kittitas. And I recently quit so I could pursue this and just be a full-time public servant. Before that, I worked at a law office for 5 years where I specialized in mortgage modifications, and I helped people get out of foreclosure. One of my main focuses in that job was budgeting and rebudgeting for these people so that they could afford a modified payment. And I had an incredible success rate. I don't think we lost one house the whole time that I worked there. So I am very organized. I have attention to detail, and I think I'm very responsible with finances. And I'm running for city council at 42 years old because I feel like a lot of the voices, like John said, that I know just aren't being heard, and I'd like to represent the community as a whole and really help Ellensburg grow into just a safe and
Well, that was that abrupt stop that that we've experienced. Yeah, we've experienced that a couple of times this evening. There's some mystery person in the back who pulls that plug. I don't know who they are. Okay, let's go. We'll transition now to the set of 3 questions that you received ahead of time. You'll have 60 seconds to answer these questions. We're going to start with Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith, as we mentioned before, it's very glamorous to run for elective office, especially at the local level. We've all seen how romantic it is in the movies and how popular you can become. Almost a Marvel character, really. We want to know what you see as the top 3 roles of a member of the City Council.
Well, first and foremost, I think listening to your community and prioritizing their needs according to, funding for one, but and execute. I think the current council has kind of been failing at listening to the entire community so far. I mean, so much so that they put out public surveys and then completely ignore the outcome of that survey. And also budgeting, maintaining facilities, public spaces, infrastructure, fire department, police department, etc., while being fiscally responsible and keeping taxes low. Our policies, drafting and voting on local laws that align with our community's values, public safety, protecting property rights, avoiding overreach or excessive regulations to ensure a steady economic growth.
Thank you. Ms. Goodlow.
Well, I think first and foremost, one of the most important roles the city council member has is to follow the laws of this state and to protect the Constitution of the United States. We cannot make decisions that are illegal in city council meetings. I think we have to ensure the financial solvency of this city. We are involved in budget reviews on a regular basis. We get quarterly updates, reports in city council minutes. We approve the annual budget. We are discerning in our adjustment, when we get an adjustment request, and we do get budget adjustment requests often. We get on a regular basis requests for planned expenditures, and we have to make sure that there's no financial liability or negative consequence of those expenditures, and our staff. Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's move to our next question. Ms. Goodlow, you'll have the opportunity to answer first this time. If elected, how do you plan to listen to and represent all of your constituents and their needs?
In my first 8 years, I've had a lot of opportunities to listen to the community. We hear public comment at city council meetings. Frequently, I'll follow up with somebody in a comment they've made, ask for clarification, ask for further conversation if that's needed. I'm open to different ideas than I have, and I'm open to changing my mind when my positions appear to be needing to be adjusted in the face of evidence that I've been presented. I sit on several city commissions and boards. We get public comment at all of those. I have a city email. People can contact me through there. I have numerous pop-up conversations, I call them, with people as I go about my business every day. In restaurants, at events, people could stop me on the street and they want to ask me a question about something that's going on. Frequently, I seek out people for their information, and I'm getting that stop sign again.
The dreaded stop sign. Ms. Smith, same question.
Well, I feel like I am already listening. I am an open book. I have open dialogue with anybody that wants it. I'm still learning. I have not been here for 8 years, but I encourage people to reach out to me and ask me questions, challenge my knowledge. That will help me grow as well and help me learn. I have been active as much as I can in the public eye. I've been attending commission meetings. I'm not a part of any commissions yet, but I am researching to see where I will be most useful. I respond to emails, messages. I even answer phone calls if I have time. But I think it is important to really just be involved in dialogue and respond accordingly.
Thank you. Okay, our final question before we get to the audience questions, and we're moving right through, so you'll have lots of time for audience questions today. In your view, and really we want to hear your viewpoint, because as candidates, most candidates develop a platform based on what they think are really the top issues or top concerns that they might have in their community, in their state, et cetera. Obviously, we're talking about the city council here. So in your view, why are you running? What are the top 3 issues that you think Ellensburg is facing, and how would you deal with them if elected? And I think it's Ms. Smith. Yes, thank you. Okay. Shoo.
All right, well, my top 3 issues, there's others, but funding, housing affordability and availability and programs for the children are my top priorities right now. For funding, we need to apply for every dollar we can get. And we keep creating more spaces that will require maintenance, but we haven't taken care of the spaces we already have, like the pool, for example. We need to stop raising taxes and manage our funds better. Our citizens can't afford more taxes. We already have a 21% poverty rate, which is significantly higher than the national average of 11%, which brings me to the next issue of housing affordability and availability. This problem has layers. The first one I would like to address is the state of our current wages and jobs that are available locally. If we could invite businesses that will bring in revenue and create jobs, not just take up space or create more traffic, and jobs that don't.
The dreaded mic mute button strikes again. Ms. Lilquist, same question. I'm sorry, Ms. Goodlow, I apologize. Same question.
I'd love to take Ms. Lilquist's response to this
Sorry.
question. if
I
you'd
do
let.
apologize.
Okay, all right. I think one of the top priorities for me is economic development for this community. Over the past couple of 3 or 4 years, the community and the county have joined together to develop a regional economic development plan. It's a very unique concept, and it's very transformational, and I'm excited we are getting ready to implement that plan, and because I will be at the table for the implementation of that plan. Another issue that's really important to me is the health and well-being of our community. So I support all the comments that have been made about the Parks and Recreation and maintaining the parks, upgrading the equipment that we have. I also would lobby very heavily for a park that's all-inclusive for every child, so that every child that goes to play at the park can play at the park. That's probably going to take a little more money, but it's worth it, and I think it should be a priority.
Thank you. Okay, let's transition now to the audience questions. If we have some more, feel free to bring those up. I have lots of leftovers from the last group as well, and we'll start with those and then kind of move through them. Now, it'll be Ms. Goodlow's opportunity to go first. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. And you'll have 60 seconds to answer these questions. Now, I also want to mention to the audience, we did have a couple of funny noises coming from the audience that perhaps were from devices that might look similar to this. I'm sure you all have one, so if it's in your pocket and it's not turned to silent, please take an opportunity to do that now. You don't want to be the next person that gets called out because, someone needs to call overseas and your phone went off during a public meeting. That's this funny rule that we used to have where I come from. Okay, Ms. Goodlow, first question. In what ways do you plan to assist families and future generations in the city of Ellensburg, and how do you prioritize where city funds go?
Okay. Well, I think the best way for me to assist families is to be aware of the needs of families. I have several issues that I'm concerned about for our community. Nutrition is a very important one for me, and I know there are a lot of family and kids who struggle with their nutrition. I think having the opportunity to live in affordable housing and be safe at night is another important one of the ways that children can be supported in this community. And I am very in favor of exploring all avenues to increase our stock in affordable housing. I think as a council member, making decisions for the greater good of this city, you have to look at the big picture. I try to consider every population when I make a decision, and the children are obviously one of those groups that I take into account.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
Well, I think I'd like to circle back then to the kids programs that I mentioned earlier. Entertainment, recreation, and mentoring are in desperate need. The children need somewhere to be able to go, something they can feel like they belong to other than the gangs in town. Sports are great, but not all kids have access to that. We need places where they can go on a whim. We need places that when our mentoring programs that we are getting in September, when those become available, they need somewhere to take the kids. They need somewhere to go. So also I think we could probably get some grants for the ADA kids and adults to get into our parks because they're not able to utilize them because they can't, a lot of them can't access them. So I think it's really important to think about the kids and our parks.
Thank you. Everybody knows that running for city council gives you an opportunity to be a hero. Thank you for that polite laugh. In order to be a hero, you have to be a champion. And there are issues out there that need champions. What issue do you think will most require you to be a champion, for you individually to advocate for as a member of the city council? And Ms. Smith, it's your opportunity to go first.
Well, being a mom, I mean, I spoke about this already, the kids are very important. They're the future of our city. So really investing in families and things for them is, I think, is where I could really thrive. I'm a mom myself, and most of my kids are grown, but I still have one that he still wants to go to the parks and the pool and all of that stuff. So that's someplace where I could really thrive. But I'm also attending as many commission meetings as I can manage to research my greatest strengths in the community. So.
Thank you. Ms. Goodlow.
And I think the best one for me and my background and my interests, one of the top ones for me is the recreation issues that we face, the upgrading of our parks, the equipment, the challenge we face figuring out how to replace an indoor racket facility that burned down and how to support a new pool with very little funding. Those are all areas where I think kids have opportunities to participate in a number of different things, and I would really like the city to be able to provide those facilities.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to our next question. Ms. Goodlow, it's your opportunity to answer first. The way that we communicate both individually, person to person, and as a society has changed dramatically, right? Newspapers used to be king. We've seen those fall dramatically, both in readership, subscribership, relevance, etc. A lot of things have moved online now. Social media seems to be the media that most people turn to on a regular basis, even for their everyday news. Newspapers or television, radio are still part of the mix, but not as relevant as they used to be either. How can the city council best communicate with city residents with all that's going on, especially those that aren't necessarily connected to the internet or have smartphones?
Well, City Council, we have in place a Coffee with Council. We have those events once a month, and they're pretty well attended. But they're great opportunities for community to come and ask questions and discuss issues with council. I would encourage people to do that. In terms of my own processes for getting information, I would love for people to approach me and ask questions. I would love to be contacted to go out for coffee and have a conversation. And I am starting with my campaign a series of small group discussions with the community where people can come to those discussions, ask questions, and I will respond the very best way I can.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
I agree. I like the idea of the coffee with the council. I'd like to continue stuff like that and have more things like that available. And this is actually a question I've been asking myself and other people around me is, if people aren't connected to the internet, aren't on Facebook, how do they know what's going on in the city? How do they know, events that they can attend to, or how they could be of assistance if needed in the community? And one idea that I had was possible bulletin boards around town, as well as the coffee with the council and having open dialogue with the community. But like for parks too, I've seen, I think one on one of the dog parks there is a bulletin board, but if we had more things like that just up and around that people that are already out and about could see, I think that would be a good way to help get information out that for people that are not on the internet.
Okay, thank you. It's been mentioned a couple of times so far this evening that there's a sentiment out there, at least in some areas, that there are groups or segments of the community that the city council currently isn't listening to. I'm curious to know what groups or segments of the community you think the city council isn't listening to, and perhaps why. Ms. Smith, it's your opportunity to answer first.
Well, I guess in regards to like the city pool, it has needed maintenance for over a decade. And I know this is not the first time that the council has heard these complaints, and they are only just now doing something about it, or they're going to go and check it out. But as a whole, I feel like, even like I said earlier, there's the surveys that have been put out, and they just made their own decision, regardless of what the survey's input was. For Unity Park, for example, they named it Unity Park when there was 57 votes to name it Ellensburg Blues Park, and 3 votes for Unity Park, and they chose Unity Park. So this is just an example of them not listening to the community.
Thank you. Ms. Goodlow?
I think the council listens to everybody and every comment that is made. We often do not agree with those comments, or we don't think they're in sync with the vision for this community. So that's why we may go a different direction with an answer or with a decision. Regarding the Unity Park naming, the council unanimously agreed that we needed a different choice for a name. And that's how we came up with, we got the recommendation from the Parks and Rec Committee to name it Unity Park, and we agreed, so that's how it got named. This is a problem and a puzzle for me. I don't know why the community doesn't think we listen. Listening and doing what somebody says is not necessarily the same thing.
Thank you. We still have time for a few more questions, so we're going to keep going. As we mentioned with the last group, we have a lot of experience here in the Kittitas Valley and in Ellensburg of everyone getting along and agreeing with most things. There's very little strife and very little disagreement straight across the board. So it's a very rare thing that could possibly happen. But I am curious, in the rare instance where you disagree with residents or groups of residents, how would you or how do you represent those residents fairly that have a different perspective than you as a member of the City Council? And Ms. Goodlow, it's your opportunity to go first.
I try to make my decisions, especially when it might be a controversial issue that we're talking about, and there's a lot of passion on both sides of the question about that. I feel like, and I work hard to be guided by my values and my faith and what I believe this community needs. And so those are kind of my compass for how I make those decisions. And frequently, they're very difficult decisions to make. And I know I'm not the most popular person on the city council, but I can go home at night and sleep and wake up in the morning and look in the mirror.
Thank you. Ms. Smith?
Well, I think just having an open mind and really striving to understand people and being understood is very valuable. I think, sorry. Yeah, just really listening to people, understanding where they're coming from, but also, standing up for your own values. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We've heard a little bit tonight, we're going to move on to the next question. We've heard a little bit tonight about communication and decision-making and sources of information and how that's been muddled over time, especially with new technology and how people communicate with one another and where they get their information. Some of the conversation earlier reminded me of a statement in the press a few years ago where someone was being interviewed and they said, well, we know those are facts, but we have alternative facts upon which we're basing our decision. As a city council member, what sources of information will you use to inform your decision making? And Ms. Smith, it's your opportunity to go first.
Well, I think it's important to research other cities too and how they've gone about things when they were successful. And when they were unsuccessful, learn what not to do. Also, reaching out to local professionals and developers is, I think, a good source of information, people that have actually been there and done that.
Thank you, Ms. Goodlow.
Yeah, the city has a great process for bringing projects to the table for city council to examine. And part of that process for most of the projects is contracting with experts who know what they're doing, who've worked for us before some of the times, who've done similar projects in other communities that we can look at. And I trust the recommendations of those experts. I also trust our city staff. They don't bring us recommendations and ask us to make decisions without a full report of how they reached that decision. I think researching other sources is good. I like the idea, and we do look at other communities when we're looking at big investments that we need to make. But I come from an academic background, so I know how to use the library. And I think those sources that you can get online from the experts are also good.
Okay, thank you. We've reached our time, believe it or not, and so we want to move and transition directly to closing statements. You'll each have an opportunity for a 60-second closing statement. Ms. Goodlow, you'll have the opportunity to go first.
Okay. Well, I'd like to start by thanking the Chamber of Commerce and the League of Women Voters and the Clymer Museum for making this event possible today. I want to thank Paul for his great moderation. I thought you did an excellent job. Thank you so much. I'm seeking re-election because I want to continue to make a contribution and a difference in this community. I have a lot of experience and knowledge that has accumulated over the last 8 years. I'm in a position that I can move forward as soon as the new year starts, and I'm asking for your support.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
I also want to thank everybody and thank all of you for being here and listening to our words and taking us into your consideration. I'm running because I feel like it's time Ellensburg had a change of view. Like Nancy said, she's been up here for 8 years, and I'd like to do the same. I would like to really help the community, and you got to start somewhere. So I'm here because I really care about Ellensburg. I was born and raised, like I said, And I just want to make a difference, and I want to really help the community grow and prosper. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please join me in thanking these candidates this evening. Okay, if you liked Acts 1 and 2, stick around. Act 3 is just about to begin, and it's just as good. Spoiler alert, it's exactly the same. 2 minutes, and we'll be right back with you. All right, please take your seats. Get settled in. We're going to get started. I do apologize. We went a little long with that last group, just a couple minutes, so we will go a little bit longer with this group to make sure that they have the same opportunity. So rather than getting out of here at 6:35, it'll probably be closer to 6:40 tonight, so I apologize for that. Hopefully you'll spare us the 5 minutes. I was asked to make an announcement. Evidently there are some folks in the audience who may be recording this event tonight. You've been asked not to. The League of Women Voters and the Chambers have asked me to please ask you to refrain from recording. This event will be available via recording and video, both on the League of Women Voters website as well as the Chambers. It's going to be made available on social media, and it will be given to ECTV as well. So there'll be ample opportunity for you to re-listen to it or review it. So if you are recording this evening, please refrain from doing so. We very much appreciate your cooperation. Okay, candidates, I noticed both of you were in the audience. I'm hoping you heard all the ground rules. Do you need me to restate any of those for you? All right, so we're ready to go. Okay, let's begin with your opening question, which of course is your introductory opportunity. You'll be given 90 seconds to do your introduction. Please introduce yourself, share why you're running, and what you hope to accomplish in your first year if elected. And we'll start with Mr. Palmer.
All right. Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Delano Palmer. I'm the Director of Capital Planning and Projects at CWU. We're in charge of all the construction and renovation. I've been in the city of Ellensburg since 2018. I was appointed to the city council about a year and a half ago, and I'm enjoying this time because it's been giving me an opportunity to really serve our community. For me, this has been a great way to understand the people of our community, and I think that's a really big aspect of being in city council, is trying to understand the perspectives. In my role in construction management, we are often called project managers, but we have a reoccurring joke that we're called people managers, because all we're doing is managing the different personalities and all the different perspectives. And I think that's our role, to try to understand it. We will not succeed at it every single time. We will try to be the best people that we can as far as understanding people's perspective, and that's what I try to bring to city council, and that's what I hope to do.
Thank you. Mr. Ezel.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me okay? Yes. Hello, my name is Sam Ezel. First off, I'd like to thank the Women of League Voters and Climber for hosting this very important event. So, first off, I would like to address something that came in the Daily Record, if that's okay. Is that okay?
It's your opening statement, sir.
Yes, it is true. I've never voted in my life. I was brought up in a house that had zero politics in it whatsoever. It was not allowed. That's how I was raised. That's how I raised my children. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm not going to apologize how my mom raised me. I did, however, fill out my first ballot for the first time in my life, and had a conversation with my son, the youngest, who's 18 and graduating. So I wanted that out of there. Me as a person, I've been in customer service with automotive repair my entire life, since I was 18 probably. And I've stuck with it because I enjoy helping people very much, and that's what I want to do in the city council.
Thank you, candidates. We're going to move right into the first question of 3. These, again, I'll just remind everybody, were provided earlier to the candidates, so they have received these before. We're going to start with you, Mr. Ezel. You'll have the opportunity to answer first. Again, other than being a hero, what do you think are the top 3 roles of a city council member?
I believe the top 3 roles are listening, for starters, hugely listening. I'm sure a city councilman has to work on budgeting and fit that into the role. I think the listening to everybody is the most important thing, and figuring budgets out. I mean, that's all got to roll together, prioritize needs, wants, and go from there.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer?
So I see the role in city council, and I have not been in a city council before. Like I mentioned, this is my first time being able to be in this type of position because, quite frankly, I'm having the best time of my life getting involved with my community. I've never had this opportunity to be involved in so many different areas of our community. I think one of the things that city council is responsible for, just like Sam talked about, is listening and understanding people's perspective. All of you are here is because you care about this community. Now, some of our opinions may be different, but you all care. You all want a safe environment to be able to live in. The second thing is, I think city council is responsible for educating. When we sit up there, we have to go in there in every council meeting with the assumption that people may not understand the rules, the things that are going on in their community. It's our responsibility to educate them so they can be part of it. And then the third one, unconventionally, I think is to recruit. You need to be part of the solution. You need to be on the commission. You need to be helping the decisions because we're 7 people. No matter who the 7 people are, we need your feedback.
Thank you. Okay, let's move right to our second question. And Mr. Palmer, it'll be your opportunity to answer first this time. If elected, how do you plan to listen to and represent your constituents and their needs, considering the diversity within the community?
That's always going to be a difficult thing. Everybody has their lived experience in life, and nothing can change that. I cannot possibly be Sam or anyone else here in this audience. You are who you are, I am who I am. I'm going to take those experiences, but I'm going to try and listen and take in those perspectives. I'm going to balance them with what we have as far as constraints on our budget. I'm going to balance them with hopefully a little bit of empathy to understand people's perspective on it. And then I'm going to try to make the best informed decision based upon all that criteria and all that information. I think it's also our responsibility as city council that if we don't get it right the first time, we can go back and say, you know what, we can bring this back up. I'd like to change my mind. I think one of the biggest things in government is a little bit of transparency to say, I made a mistake. I want to look at this again. I want to get some more information on it. I think that's a real thing because we're all humans, we make mistakes. We need to get more information, and there's nothing wrong with showing the humility of needing more info.
Thank you. Mr. Ezel?
So, listening, I would say I would try different town halls, meetings, public, whatever it takes to listen to the citizens, to figure out what they need. And I'm sure it's a broad deal, but we have to listen as councilmen in what our community needs and work for the best to get there.
Thank you. Okay, our final question of the prepared questions, and Mr. Ezel, this will be your opportunity to answer first, is in your view, what are the 3 biggest issues facing the city of Ellensburg, and how would you work towards addressing that issue, filling that need, etc.?
Well, the Parks and Rec, I agree with everybody that it needs some help. It's not lost, it can be repaired. The pool, we have to figure out something for. And the youth programs, there's a lot of smaller programs for the youth, but we need to get them larger and include more of the youth, whether it's through mentoring. I helped with coaching for football and wrestling, something that the youth has good programs to do. If the youth don't have good programs, they get in trouble. I've had my share of kids and they will get in trouble. So that's what I would say.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer?
So the 3 most important things to me in our community that I look to serve at is infrastructure, economic development, and affordable housing. And I'll give you the reasons why behind those. It's not to say that our parks and recs are not important. They're extremely important, just like the library and all the other resources. However, to take care of those things, we need revenue. In order to do that, you have to have the people and parties and third parties that are bringing businesses in here to generate the revenue, the passers-by that go by on I-90. All that income generated helps us to feed into our infrastructure, and be able to take care of these things. And then, of course, if you're going to have the infrastructure, you got to make sure that you can support the housing, and it's got to be affordable so that we do have a family community here. The infrastructure is really important. It's not a sexy thing to talk about, but we've had 4 water main breaks in the last month. Do people understand that? And so that's one of those unconventional things on a budget that you can't really plan for, because we have systems that are over 50 years old. They're going to continue to break. So,
Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to the audience portion because you guys moved through that very fast. Nice work. Very efficient. I'm going to start with maybe a broader question than we've had with some of the previous panels. There's been a lot of discussion this evening about the Parks Recreation element. Thank you for bringing that forward. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. There's been some discussion. Thank you. Another over here. I feel like an auctioneer. Or maybe come on down. The price is right. Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. There are cookies in the back at the end, by the way. Just get that out of the way. All right. There's been a lot of talk this evening about the park and recreation element. There's been just some discussion about some frustration about folks who maybe don't feel listened to. In the last question, we just talked about some infrastructure concerns and maybe some problems that are long-term, et cetera. Do you think that there should be term limits in city council? And the opportunity for new people on a regular basis, on a rotational basis, with new ideas to be elected?
that's a really interesting idea. So I'm a big advocate for term limits, especially at the federal and state level. Definitely that. There should be no lifetimers in government. And even at a city council level, I don't think there should be any lifetimers either. 8 years seems like a really long time for being in city council. I'd be up for the conversation on term limits. I think it's really beneficial. My concern is a 2-year term limit might be too short. The reason why is because it takes time to get things implemented. I know people don't like this, but we move at the speed of government, and it ain't that fast. And unfortunately, we are not like privileged businesses. So the time that you bring up concerns and things like that, city staff has to pull things together so that we can be able to present it to people, give people's input, and be able to make informed decisions. So I am supportive of term limits, but we got to be very careful of it. It's a double-edged sword. If you make it too short, you're going to have continual turnover, and nothing truly will get done. Whether you like the idea or the body of city council, if it's turning over constantly, nothing will ever get done because there's always changing minds.
Thank you. Mr. Ezel?
So I definitely agree with term limits. I don't know, I've not been in government, so I don't know what government time is, but I believe 4 years is more than enough to try to get something accomplished, whether it's in the city, federal, whatever. But if I get elected, I agree, I will do one round, and 4 years is enough, I think. And it's time for new blood and new eyes and ears.
Thank you. I'll just remind the audience, while we do enjoy the music from your personal devices, if you do have one that maybe you just forgot about and didn't have the opportunity to turn to silent, now would be a great opportunity to do that. All right, let's keep moving through some of these questions. We haven't talked about climate change yet today, so we might as well talk about it with you guys. What do you think are the city's top priorities for addressing climate change over the next 5, 10, and 20-year period? And Mr. Ezel, it's your opportunity to answer first.
So this is a great question about climate change, and I was taught if I don't know about it, you need to look into it, research it before you make an answer, make yourself look like a fool. And I don't have an answer on it. I'm not going to lie.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Palmer?
I'm not a scientist either, so I don't have all the technical ideas, but I have Delano Palmer ideas, so that's what you're going to get this evening. So you can disagree with those if you like. So for me in construction management, and this is me understanding that when you put all your eggs in one basket, it's doomed to fail because you don't have resiliency. And I think it's really important that we look at resiliency as we look at sustainability. I think it's really important to understand climate change holistically. So one of the things that I was able to participate was in Yakima Fish and Wildlife Basin. That was pretty awesome just to understand the SAGE step and what happens whenever you put up a solar array in there and how it kills the underbrush and the native vegetation. That's something that I didn't learn before. I was thinking, okay, solar arrays are great. This is wonderful. No, there's always new information. So I think it's really important that we leverage our opportunities as many different energy types as possible. I think that's true sustainability in every fashion.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to another issue, maybe not as globally ranging as climate change, but certainly an issue that has been discussed both locally and on a statewide level in relation to a whole bunch of different factors, including climate change. And that's parking, believe it or not. That actually wasn't a joke, but thank you for laughing. Here in Ellensburg, a lot of people feel like we've outgrown our parking. What's the solution? Mr. Palmer, you go first.
I drive an F-150 V8, and so I'm not the most informed person to be able to say this because I came from a big city and I enjoy going across our entire city in 5 minutes. It's fantastic. So it's not Seattle, it's not one of the major metropolitans. As much as possible, we should encourage people to use carpooling, multiple modes of transportation. I see a lot of people that bike, walk, the little 2 wheels, the 1 wheels. I'm not sure what these kids are doing, but it's fantastic they're doing it. So any of those modes of transportation are really great for our community. As far as the parking dilemma, that's a difficult thing. There's only a couple solutions. You can look at parking garages and those kind of stuff, but then that's in your community. It's tall, it's ugly, and all that kind of stuff. I think it's really behooves some of our community members to understand the parameters and just walk into downtown. Unfortunately, that's one of those shared experiences that we all participate in to make it a little bit easier to get around.
Thank you, Mr. Ezel.
I agree, parking downtown is a problem, and something needs to be addressed. What exactly at this point is hard to tell because, as Delano said, parking garages, it would be neat because it will create revenue for the city, but where do you put them? It is a deterrent for tourists when they can't find a place to park downtown. And if a tourist doesn't park and find a place they don't spend their money. They go somewhere else. And right now, I don't have an answer for parking, but there has to be something that's better than what we have right now.
Thank you. Members of the Ellensburg City Council, or any city council, I think are arguably some of the most powerful elected officials in the state of Washington. Again, not a joke. You have the opportunity to affect the daily lives of your constituents more so than most other elected officials. That includes the governor, Congress members, members of the Senate, and certainly members of the state legislature. Because what you do affects these folks here every single day in their daily lives. City council members have individual power in their positions, but they also have extreme power as a member of a team. How will you use your individual power as a city council member to challenge the other members of the city council to wield the team power that you possess collectively effectively?
Is that me or Sam?
Mr. Ezel, I believe it's your opportunity to go first.
So that's a good question. I guess using my power per se, I would hope I could use power to get everybody, all the councilmen together to discuss problems and conquer a problem and work as a team. I'm a huge team worker, and maybe that's my power. That's my answer.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer?
I think it's the flexibility of being able to talk to people with different perspectives and understanding that you can just have a cordial, respectful conversation on their perspectives. Doesn't mean that you are going to go with that direction, but it's important that you collect that information so that you at least have enough to try to make an informed decision. As far as wielding that power, well, we're serving you, you're not serving us. So you guys come to city council as impassioned as you are, bring in the complaints, bring in the concerns. But in a way, I think one of the improvements the city council can look at is there are some decisions that, quite frankly, we need to put back out into the community to make that decision and leave it with the community. There are a lot of things that we've been discussing that, quite frankly, will not have a solution within the chamber. We need the people to work together like all communities do to try to get some unconventional ideas and solutions across. So my wielding of power is really just communicating as best as I can.
Thank you. Okay, we have come close to the end. Believe it or not, it feels like you guys have only been up here for 30 seconds. But we do have one more question for you before we move to final statements. Where do you see yourself and the city of Ellensburg 5 years from now? Mr. Palmer, you go first.
So for me, I'm going to be involved, even if I'm not on city council, folks, in the role of the capital planning at the university. We have a really interesting role. The university is the largest energy user in the community, so we have a direct impact on lowering utility costs for the city. We are also one of the biggest economic drivers. My budget this biennium is over $150 million. I help bring in jobs with my jobs that I do here as far as construction. I think, I'm kind of lost for words there. I lost my words there. So that's interesting. I'm gonna pass it to Sam.
Okay. All right. I'm going to bail you out. Mr. Palmer. Mr. Ezel.
Yes. So where I'd like to see Ellensburg in 5 years, I would love to see a thriving downtown, new businesses, things hopping, like it used to be. There was just more. Used to be more going on. And in 5 years, I think I see the youth programs flourishing and having some of the best things going on, and our parks and recs. I just have a good outlook for 5 years. And by then my youngest son will be graduated, and if I'm elected, I will be going and watching college football games with my son. I'm done.
Thank you. All right, now we've come to the closing statements for our final panel, and I believe I was keeping track. I think it's Mr. Ezel. Your opportunity for a closing statement. You'll go first. 60 seconds.
More on my glasses for this one. So I may not be the best public speaker, but I am a great listener and a solution finder, as well as a practical. So the objective part requires prioritization, needs from wants. This is something that I do every day in my work. Then comes the practical part. How do we pay for it? Not all solutions are easy, and not everyone is happy, but we have to have a solution of some sort. Sometimes the smart way is to tackle one problem at a time, a piece at a time, excuse me. So, in ending, I'm asking for your vote, and that's totally up to each individual person, and I respect each and individual person.
Thank you. Mr. Palmer, your closing statement.
So I'm gonna go back and answer that previous question since I got tongue-tied there. That was awkward. So in 5 years, I'd like to see this community continue to work on its economic development, specifically in the arena of hopefully generating its own energy. I think that's gonna be an important part of resiliency in our community. A lot of people have said the great thoughts. We can't trust the state and federal governments on our own anymore. We have to be able to do this on ourselves. So I hope to be able to see that. I think it's a big tragedy when we have this many graduates from our university in town go to other cities and provide for their GDP. That's a shame. It needs to stay here and make us financially viable. My closing statement is transparently, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm in the middle. If you expect someone that sits up here to represent Republican ideals or your Democratic ideals, I'm not that guy. I will tell you up front. I'm gonna look at every thing and try to make the best decision based upon my lived experiences and the information I get from folks. So thank you.
Thank you. Please join me in thanking these candidates this evening. Okay, we've come to the conclusion of our program. I want to thank a couple of folks this evening. First of all, I want to thank the Chamber of Commerce and the League of Women Voters for hosting this event, and certainly the Clymer Museum for allowing us to utilize this wonderful facility. Please remember, there are cookies in the back. I'm sure there are great cookies, and you'll have an opportunity to enjoy some of those and to mingle amongst yourselves. Before we do that, just a couple other announcements really fast. First of all, I want you to remember to vote. Okay, your ballots have already been mailed. You should have them now. The primary election is key. So if you haven't gotten your ballot, certainly go to the auditor's office over at the courthouse. They can help you out. But please remember to vote, and please encourage your friends and neighbors and relatives and anybody else that you can find to vote as well. The primary elections are where we select the top 2 candidates to move forward, so it's really a key pivotal moment in this election cycle. I also want to thank the candidates for coming tonight, not just these 2, but all of the candidates before. It is incredibly difficult, incredibly nerve-wracking, and incredibly uncomfortable to sit up here in front of all of you and answer these questions and to be grilled. And that's not even the hardest part. The hardest part's just deciding to make the sacrifice and jump into the ring and run to begin with. And it's not just the candidate that does it, it's their friends and their family as well. It's a major commitment. They deserve our respect. And I want to thank them all for continuing to do that and for their commitment to public service. Finally, yes, that deserves a round of applause. And then finally, I want to thank the audience. I can't believe the turnout that we have on a beautiful Thursday evening in July in Ellensburg. Your commitment to the civic process, to coming here for a primary election, to see the candidates, to hear them, is really heartwarming for someone like me. The questions that you posed were wonderful. There are great questions that I didn't get to. I'm sorry about that. We just didn't have enough time this evening. But really give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you for coming this evening. And that's it. Thank you, everyone.